But right now, let's move over to Nairobi and get, some different insights about the WRC Safari Rally, different perspectives from different people. We're joined by photographer Alex Mwarv Kirubi. A very good morning to you, Alex.
Good morning, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. And, you tell your story through pictures. And, Alex, one of the things that, I would like you, to just put it up, and put out to us is from when Kenya held the candidate event, which was the Equator Rally, did a test run over just around Easter 2021 before the main WRC event. What's the growth you have seen around, the storytelling, especially when it comes to pictures?
Oh, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your question. I think the growth has been quite immense. If you recall, in 2021, we were still coming out of the COVID lockdowns. So there was still a lot of restrictions in terms of how many storytellers or photographers could be accredited by the WRC organizer, the WRC promoter, to be able to actually shoot the rally. But this year, I think the number of journalists, photographers who've actually received accreditation to be able to officially cover the WRC has actually increased in a great detail. And the beauty about that is that you have not just one perspective or a select number of journalists who can actually do that. I think in 2021, we were less than 20 local photographers who are accredited. But now the number is quite huge. I do not know the exact number, but the beauty is that now we have a very wide, you're able to get the rally from different perspectives, not the perspective of just a few people. It's also increasing popularity in terms of the number of spectators who are actually attending. This can be seen by the interaction that people are already having on social media, looking forward to the rally this weekend. Hotels are also experiencing a very good booking. And there's just a lot of excitement because this is the only WRC event held on African soil, and we're all looking forward to having it this weekend.
Well, let's just talk about a typical day for a rally photographer, because when it comes outside of the marshals and the people who ensure safety on the routes, you wake up, right at the crack, when the cock crows for the first time, you are up and you've got to be inside some of these places. And how you select where to mainly pick your pictures from. There is the famous Mtimbili, there are some river crossings here and there. Just take us through this.
So one of the things that we actually receive as an accredited member of as an accredited photographer is a media guide, which has been very well prepared by a gentleman known as Abdul Sidi, Anwar Sidi. He's actually one of the veteran sports photographers we have in Kenya. So this media guide shows you all the routes and all the photo points that exist within the routes. So once you come through it, you're able to select where exactly would you like to position yourself for the kind of shots that you want to get. If you want to get air shots, there are places which have actually been marked, photo points that have actually been marked. This is a place where you can actually be able to capture cars when they're flying. If you want to capture cars that are actually covered in dust and in fresh, then there are places that are actually earmarked for that. If you want to capture the beautiful Rift Valley landscape, which is very unique to the WRC, also places that have been marked for that. So you as a photographer, once you get a hold of the media guide, you're able to select where exactly you'd like to position yourself.
I see all of them.
Now, the next thing is actually getting there. The beauty about it is that a few days before the rally, like yesterday, today, and I believe tomorrow, there's actually opportunities for photographers to actually go recce the routes. Recce is where you actually get to drive along the routes and actually pick of the photo points that have actually been listed as places where you can actually position yourself to capture the shots. Which of these would you like to position yourself in? Because there's what you can see in the book, but maybe on the ground, as you say, it might be different. So you actually want to get there and see, is this where I want to be, or would you want to be in photo point A or photo point B? Then the recce gives you an opportunity for that. So the final thing is making sure that you're within your photo point 90 minutes before the first car. And this is for safety reasons. So you have to arrange to make sure that you get into the stage 90 minutes before the first car. And that is to make sure that you are well positioned. The safety marshal knows where exactly you are. And once the cars start moving, there is no moving from your photo point. You have to be at the exact point where you actually position yourself. We are not allowed to place any cameras on the road. That is against the rules. We are not allowed to be within 15 meters of the racetrack because cars can easily go off the track, especially when it rains. We are not allowed to be on the outside of a corner. Now, the outside of a corner is on the outside of a corner. You can only be on the inside of a corner where at least there's no risk to you. I always say there is no need to get killed when taking killer shots. So at the end of the day, your safety is paramount. There's no need for you to put yourself in harm's way because you're trying to get an image that nobody else will be able to capture. So we also do have a safety briefing. We'll be having a safety briefing tomorrow evening at the service park. And after the safety briefing, we'll now receive the called tabards that we are able to wear, that are able to identify us as official photographers for the WRC Safari Rally Kenya.
Now, Alex, you mentioned about safety, and you have, and you know, in the hybrid era, there is what you wouldn't do. Now we don't have hybrid anymore, but there is where your involvement, what to do, what not to do. And I would make a reference to an instant where Hussein Malik and Linet Rayuko got into a ditch, and you took the photos, yes, but you also had, you know, called the marshals and run around safety. What's the story about this?
Okay, so it was that was in 2021 ARC Equator Rally. It was in Soesambu. It was at a water crossing where we were many photographers would actually position ourselves there. And after Hussein and Lynette did the water crossing, the ground was very loose because many cars had come before them. So what was actually very stormy ground a few minutes before was now very muddy. So it became a very tricky section that after coming out of the river crossing, they slid to one side towards the right and then got into a ditch. So we didn't know that they had actually got into a ditch until we could not hear the revving of the engine as after the car had passed us, after just a few meters. So now we actually had to run. We were the first people on the ground, and now we had to run to try and get them out. Luckily, the door was able to open. It was a left-hand drive car. It fell on its right. So Hussein was the first person we actually pulled out. We helped him out. Usually as a photographer, your instinct would be to take photos because that's what you've been set there to do. But at this time, humanity actually just stepped in. We're like, photos aside, we need to help these guys who are actually in an accident. So we pulled out Hussein, and then after that, we held the door and were able to pull out the net. Luckily, none of them was injured. They actually stayed with us at the photo point where we were for almost the rest of the day.
All right.
Because the route was still live, they could not send a recovery vehicle to pull out the car at that moment, or even in between the two runs of the sample.
Alex.
So we stayed with them, and we actually gave them water, we gave them snacks. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let me just interrupt you slightly because we've got to go back to Meru County where Governor Mutuma is addressing. Then we'll come back and you can finish up that part of the story, Alex, kindly. You know, you can conclude on the story about, you know, the rest getting Hussein Malik and Linet Ayuko out of a ditch where they'd gone off at a river crossing, and you know the lessons learned about safety that everyone should know when it comes to rallying.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Yes, safety, as I said earlier, safety is always important. I think that is why even for the drivers, there was a safety briefing yesterday, and I think there may be one more safety briefing for the media people and the marshals. They are undergoing also a lot of briefings about safety. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important for the human instinct to check in, like as much as we want to capture beautiful images of the rallying, at the end of the day, safety is very important. So for Lynette and Hussein, once we pulled them out, we were able to get them to a safe place away from the rally track. We had carried snacks with us. Obviously, as rally drivers and co-driver did not have, so we were able to share what we had with them: snacks, water, and things that would actually just keep their energy levels up. Obviously, there's a lot of shock that the body does endure once somebody gets into an accident. So just being able to get the sugar levels back to where they could actually be more relaxed. And it was one of the beautiful things about that accident that Hussein and Lynette had is that after Hussein got his senses back and he knew, okay, fine, we are out of the rally for now, he actually went and started warning other drivers, making sure that they too were not caught out the very same way he was. So it was a very good sportsmanship. It was a very, very good show of sportsmanship from Hussein.
Well, Alex, looking at it from the photographer's perspective, what is the message and the color that is always sent out, not just of the action, but of the people, and the message that this kind of work, that this kind of storytelling that you do relates to the rest of the world?
I think one of the things that our images and the photos that we take and the stories we get to tell does is that celebrate Kenya, because there is no place as beautiful that has so much diversity, culturally and even just natural diversity like Kenya. And it's also something that the drivers look forward to. We saw very beautiful images yesterday of Taka and the other drivers enjoying an afternoon at the Shell Wildlife Trust next to the Nairobi National Park. Last year, they actually got to do a game drive in Masai Mara. These are things that they wouldn't experience in any other part of the world. And these are things that we ourselves have the ability to access each and every day. So just celebrating that beauty and diversity of Kenya, the landscapes. Racing in a place where you're almost like chasing zebras down the road and waiting for them to pass. It's a natural zebra crossing. Racing and you're seeing flamingos taking off on Lake Elementaita. After the race, you're relaxing by Lake Naivasha or Lake Elementaita. There's just so much beauty that Kenya has to offer to the WRC. And I think that is why, as you said earlier, the WRC was actually very keen on making sure that the Safari Rally did get back to the circuit of races. And for us as photographers is actually just to reinforce that beauty and reinforce the reason why there is no other place like Kenya when it comes to hosting a WRC event in Africa.
Well, Alex Mwarv Kirubi, thank you very much for your time this morning. So definitely hope to see you that, and you just keep telling the stories. Have a good day, Alex.
Thank you, Daniel.
Well, Alex Mwarv Kirubi is a rally photographer, tells the story through pictures.